Hi, and welcome to our virtual gardening program. My name is Diane Yarrow, and I'm the Assistant Director and Adult Services Librarian at the Irvin L. Young Memorial Library in Whitewater, Wisconsin. Today we're going to be creating fairy gardens. This is a special fairy garden program and a special virtual gardening program because if you come to the library and pick up one of the adult craft kits, you will have everything that you need to make the accessories we're going to make for our fairy garden. So don't forget, come to the library, pick up your adult craft kit. We'll have them all week long, and then you can make your fairy garden. The accessories anyway. All right, let's get started. First of all, the library has a lot of books on fairy gardens. Here's one, Fairy Gardening 101. It's got a lot of cute ideas. We've got Gardening in Miniature. Another miniature gardening book. And here's a cute one, Magical Miniature Gardens and Homes. So if you need some inspiration or ideas after you watch the program today, be sure you come to the library. When you pick up your craft kit, check out a few books and fairy gardens. So let's see what we have in our kit today. I'm going to move some things aside. I'm going to open up the bag so you can see everything that we have. We've got a little bit of moss. We have a cork and a bottle cap. We have a little paper flower, and we have a stick that we're going to put that paper flower onto. We have a golf tee and a marble. And I know you're thinking, what are we going to be doing with these? Well, we'll find out soon enough. And then just for fun, to add a little bling and color to our fairy garden, well, we got a little button in here too that goes with the flower. So the button goes with the flower. We've got some pretty little jewels. We've got some little stones. And we've got a little flower, a little acrylic flower. So let's figure out how we're going to use these items. First up, for our cork and our bottle cap, we are going to be creating toadstools. Yes, the cork and the bottle cap will be transformed into a toadstool. To do that, we need some glue or a glue gun. So you could use like some really thick tacky glue. That would work well. For our purposes, I'm going to use a hot glue gun. So I'm just going to put some hot glue on the top of this, and I'm going to stick on the bottle cap. And there we have our toadstool. We have the before and the after. And you know what? You don't have to paint it, but if you want it to look a little more like a toadstool, then you could break out your paint. And I just used a little red paint, a little tempera or acrylic paint. And then I made little dots. I took the bottom of my paintbrush and I just made little white dots with the white paint. And that turned out so cute. It was really quick, as you can see, quick and easy to do. With your marble and your golf tee, you're gonna make a little crystal ball for your fairy garden. And again, hot glue gun or the thick tacky glue. Just gonna put a little hot glue on the top of this. Try not to burn myself. Stick the marble on there, and that glue will dry clear, and you can pick off any that is stuck around the edge. I'm gonna wipe a little bit off right now because there was a big glob of it on there. And there you have your really pretty little crystal for your fairy garden. Now, traditionally, when you make fairy gardens, you need a fairy for your fairy garden. And since everybody's taste is different, we're gonna let you pick out your own little fairy for your fairy garden. Okay, the next item up that we're gonna make is this little flower. You've got a stick that has a wire on it. We're gonna make it into a flower. So you got the stick with the flower, and you have a button. So what I did was first let's put the flower on the wire. So I just took the wire, and there's a hole in the flower, and I pushed the wire through the flower, just like that. So it was up flush against the stick. So here we have the wire. Now we're going to take the button and we're just going to put the wire through one of the holes in the button. It's a very tiny button, so it's really hard to work with. Get that on there. Okay, so there we go. I've got the button on there. Now I'm just going to put the button through the other side, the wire through the other side of the button. And I'm holding the button and the flower flush against the stick as I do this. So it's flush against the stick. And I'm just going to put the wire through the other side of the button and through that hole in the flower. So now it's going to come out the back. And I'm just going to pull this tight. It's just kind of like sewing, but you're doing it with wire. And there we have our flower. And then I wrapped the wire around the back. I just kind of wrapped it down here, and then I just pushed it up so it was out of sight. And you can even, once you're done wrapping the wire around there, I just wrapped the wire, just twirl it around, and then I just pushed it up so it was out of sight of the flower. There you go, look at that. Quick and easy, and it'll stick right into your fairy garden. If you have a really short fairy garden, you can always break the stick off. So those are the crafts that you need to make your little accessories. You've got a flower, you've got a nice crystal, and you have a toadstool. So now we're going to take these and we're going to make some fun fairy gardens. Fairy gardens can be any kind. They can be indoor, they can be outdoor, they can be small, they can be large. I have a couple here that I already created. Here is one that's very small in an old cup. I liked the cup, but it broke and I didn't want to get rid of it, so I turned it into a fairy garden because that's just how I roll. And this is one I used a fake succulent, so I don't have to worry about it dying. And you can add anything, and I often change them out. If I find something, like I have this little cloth flag that a friend gave me, I just stick that in there too. There we go. You can do whatever you want, be as creative as you want. Here's one I did that is a terrarium type. And this one just used stones, a piece of moss. This was actually real moss, but it dried out. I put fake succulents, I put some little toadstools, and then I have a bridge with a little sheep on there. So you can get really creative and fun. Whoop, my little sheep almost fell. So don't be afraid to play around. If you have plants outside in your garden, turn them into little fairy gardens. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take this succulent. Got this cute little succulent. This is a burro's tail. And I'm going to take the items from our craft kit and we're going to make a little fairy garden. So we're going to take our toadstool. I'm going to put the toadstool in there. Just kind of wiggle it down in there. And I'm going to take my flower. I'm going to use this pink one that I previously made just because the colors work well. And that's going to stick up. And you have to play around with it. Like I might not like the way I put that in there now. And so I might go back. I'm going to put my crystal in there. Now I'm the kind of person who likes things balanced and even. So feel free to do things your way. So now let's take this moss. We can put a little of the moss that we got around to give it a little color. You know what we're going to do? Right now we're going to put moss on one side. It's just come to me. Actually, we're going to do it this way. We're going to put the moss over here and put it around. So you can see how I did that. I just kind of tucked it around, push it down in because I just don't want it up. And then I'm going to take my pretty little stones that were in there and I'm going to make a little pathway like that. And the pretty little jewels, we're going to put those right there in the middle too. And then we had that little acrylic flower. I'm going to hang it off the side. So I have it there. And I'm going to take a little more moss. Just a little bit of moss, not a lot. There I have a little fairy garden. There's not much to it, but you know, it adds a lot of character to your plants. So there we go, using all of our cute little things. Let's do another one. This one I'm going to do in a teacup. Now this has dirt in it from a previous fairy garden that I did, teacup fairy garden. And it had a few little stones in there, but we're going to use the stuff from our craft. So this, I'm pretty sure this flower is going to be too tall. So I'm going to break the stick. Pretty easy to break, and I'm going to put my flower in there. I like to start out putting the flower in there. And I'm going to take my little crystal ball, and I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to take my toadstool, and this one I didn't paint, but it had a pretty design on it, so we're just going to leave it like it is. And I've got some fake plastic succulents, so I'm just going to take one of my fake plastic succulents. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put that in there now. I'm going to move my flower over a little bit. So far this is what we have. Let me see how I like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to put the toadstool down a little further. So I'm just make a little bigger hole in the dirt. Use a spoon here. Stick the toadstool in. That's a little better. I like that. And we're going to take some stones. I had some green ones, and I like things to match. I like things even, balanced. We're going to put our little stones in there. And then you can put those little jewels in there. And the green moss matches my green teacup. That is very exciting. I really like that. So there. I'll put a little moss for a little texture and color. It also kind of covers up, because this dirt is really dry. And you know what? I'm just going to put the moss in the back. I kind of like it like that. So there we go. There we got another little fairy garden with things that we made ourselves, which makes it that much more special. And again, you can use live plants. You can get real plants. These are herbs. Make an herb fairy garden. You can add whatever you want to it. You can get some pretty little lights. And you can wrap lights around your fairy garden just to make it pretty and creative. You know, you just get really creative with your fairy garden. Put it outside. The only thing missing, we need to get a little fairy for here. But don't be afraid to put whatever you want in your fairy garden. I've got a lot of little doodads that I collect. I'm always kind of thinking in my head, oh, this would be really nice in a fairy garden. So I'm always collecting things. I've got a bunch of little figurines. Like I've got these little things, like this one says mermaid swim here. I got a frog. And so depending up to the size of your fairy garden, you can use larger items, smaller items. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what material they are, plastic. Keep in mind if you're using real plants, you know, what kind of items you put in there. You don't want to ruin anything. The other thing too is if they're going to be outside, make sure they're waterproof. And quite often, if I do a fairy garden outside, I'll either bring that plant in the winter, or I'll take all of the stuff out, and knowing that next year I'll create another fairy garden. So once again, remember, come to the library and get your adult craft kit so that you can make fun little accessories for your fairy garden, and then go home and make a fairy garden. And please, why don't you take pictures of your fairy gardens and post them on Facebook? We would love to see them. And again, come to the library because you're going to get fun stuff all week long. We'll have these available for the craft kits as long as they hold out. So enjoy, have fun, and get really creative with your fairy gardens. Thanks, and join us again next time.